work back. But what you want to do is take off as much of this connective tissue as you can. And you're going to reveal this nice cheek muscle here, big round cheek muscle. That's the masseter muscle. And if you look just behind the masseter muscle and kind of under the ear, you're going to see this chunky shit, the chunky stuff. This is the parotid salivary gland. And from there, running across the top of that masseter muscle is this duct right here. This is Stenson's duct. It's your parotid salivary duct. You can follow it all the way into the mouth if you want to. And then underneath the chin, you have these glands here. These are the submandibular glands. Okay, so they're nice. They tell you where they are, except not the parotid. All right. So there's your mouthful area. And if we look here on the back of the bunny, what we can see is that there's this huge kind of triangular muscle right here, right? See this big triangular muscle? It goes from the spine all the way out across the shoulder. Okay, this is your spinotrapezius. It kind of has a weird triangular shape to it. And it's important to find where this spinotrapezius starts up on the neck, because what you're going to do is kind of dig into the connective tissue behind this ear and the parotid gland to find where this acromiotrapezius starts, and then you're going to reveal underneath that 3 lovely layers of muscle. Okay, so the most anterior and most surface muscle is this little strip here. That's called the rhomboideus capitis. Okay, so I can kind of peel this back so you can see it a little bit better. But the rhomboideus capitis is just this little strip of muscle. It's part of a rhomboideus group, and basically what the rhomboideus group does is it holds the shoulder blade to your spine. So if you cut that, then the whole shoulder drops off. We'll do it on one side of mine. Oh, you can see it right here. So these muscles right here are the rhomboideus group, but there's one that goes all the way from here to the top of the head. That's the rhomboideus capitis. So cap, head. All right. So there is another layer just below that right here. This is one of the neck muscles that gets all tense when you're tense. This is called the splenius muscle. And then just underneath that, you have a nice thick strap muscle right here. That's called the levator scapulae ventralis. So what it's doing is it's attaching onto the ventral side of the scapula bone, and when you contract it, you shrug your shoulders. So just, you have your, acromiotrapezius. Underneath that, you have your rhomboideus capitis, your splenius, and then the levator scapulae ventralis. Okay, so if we kind of turn our bunny this way and pull the arm down and kind of pull the head back, on the other side of my levator scapulae ventralis here, I have 2 nice strap muscles. There's one that kind of goes onto the just lateral to the shoulder. This is called the basioclavicular. And then the one that's more medial to that is called the sternomastoid. All right, so it's going from the sternum to the mastoid process. So you guys remember our strap muscles in the shark that were like the what were those called? Hold on. Coraco, mandibularis, and all of that stuff. These are the comparative muscles, our sternomastoid. In the frog, we had sternoradialis, which was more lateral. Okay, so we have sternomastoid, basioclavicular. Look on the arm, shoulder area of the bunny, and in the front here, we have this anterior shoulder muscle. This is called the clavodeltoid. Just behind it, and you kind of have to pick through a little bit of connective tissue, there's a muscle that's lying on the shoulder. It's not very mobile. This is the acromiodeltoid. And on the arm itself, you can see two muscles here. There's a triceps brachii lateral head and our triceps brachii long head. Okay? Sternomastoid, basioclavicular, clavodeltoid, acromiodeltoid, triceps brachii lateral head, triceps brachii long head, acromiotrapezius, rhomboideus capitis, splenius, latissimus levator scapulae ventralis. Okay, so we have our big shoulder muscle here. That was the acromiotrapezius. There's one coming, can you see this, coming up from the medial surface of the back all the way up to the shoulder? That's your spinotrapezius. Okay, so right here, spinotrapezius, acromiotrapezius. Okay, so we find the shoulder blade right here, and if we peel some of this connective tissue off, we find a muscle that's connected to the shoulder blade itself, the bottom part of the shoulder blade. So if you can feel the spine of the scapula here, look underneath. This round muscle right here is called a teres major. I don't have it labeled on your rabbit, but coming from the chest area all the way up to the side, just posterior to your spinotrapezius, is this latissimus dorsi. So you guys remember that on the frog, that came up from just behind the arm and up laterally to the middle of the back of the spine. It does the same thing here, latissimus dorsi. Okay, so I have my acromiotrapezius, my spinotrapezius, my teres major, latissimus dorsi, and then if I look kind of underneath that latissimus dorsi, I see some serrated, look at these extension muscles here. They're really pretty. They extend into the intercostal areas between the ribs. These are your serratus ventralis muscles. If we cut through the latissimus dorsi up here, we'd be able to find serratus dorsalis, but we're not going to do that. Sorry. Okay, just anterior to the serratus ventralis, we're going to have these chest muscles. These are the pectoralis. That's also not labeled on your diagram, sorry. And then we move to the side of the abdomen of the bunny. This is the external oblique. So these oblique muscles on the rabbit actually are in 3 layers. And so your task today is to make a window. Okay, so I made a little window with my scalpel in the external oblique, and I can peel that back. And what I see is that the fibers, the muscle fibers for the external oblique are running horizontally. When I peel up that external oblique and reflect it back, I can see the layers underneath are running vertically. These are the internal obliques. And if I lift up that, see how thin that layer is? It's like 1 fiber thick. There's a layer where the muscle fibers are running in a diagonal way, and that's called the transversus abdominis. Okay, so there are 3 layers: external oblique, internal oblique, transversus abdominis. All right. So if we move up toward the top of the spine, we're going to find that it's covered by this huge ligament here. This is called the lumbodorsal fascia. And what it's doing is it's taking all of your upper back muscles and your butt muscles and your abdominal muscles and kind of hooking them together. This is going to help maintain posture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down the center of the vertebral column with my scalpel so I can peel back part of this lumbodorsal fascia. And what I'm going to find is that there's a nice strip of muscle that kind of bows out around this lower back area. But if we followed it, it would continue all the way up underneath my spinotrapezius here. This is the longissimus dorsi. Okay, so you guys remember that from the frog too. It went from the shoulder area all the way to the butt area. So that's the longissimus dorsi. And then there's another strip muscle right here. We can't quite see it because it's underneath this, this subfascia. But there's another strip muscle right here, just lateral to our longissimus dorsi. This is called the multifidus muscle. Now, moving posteriorly, we run into this big round muscle. So in order to see that big round muscle, you have to kind of cut through that lumbodorsal fascia. This big round muscle is the gluteus medius. And once you cut through that big lumbodorsal fascia, you'll see that there's a tiny strip of muscle posterior and sitting on top of the gluteus medius. This is the gluteus maximus. Okay, it's maximus not because it's bigger, because it's not. It's maximus because it's on top of the medius. So if I look laterally from my gluteus medius here, I'm going to see there's like a thin muscle that's spread throughout this real thick fascia that attaches the butt area to the knee. That big fascia is called the fascia latae. And the muscles that are inserting within the fascia latae are called the tensor fascia latae. So if we cut the fascia latae, then all of your muscles that are in your butt area would be all balled up by your hip. So this is a muscle that maintains tension over a long period of time. It's a positional or postural muscle. Underneath that, we have a huge muscle in front. This is called the biceps femoris. In the frog, we have the triceps femoris because it has 3 head attachments toward the hip area. This only has 2. If we move backwards, we see another big muscle right here. This is called the semimembranosus. We had that in the frog. And then we move back a little bit further and we see this big muscle at the back. This is called the adductor magnus. I forgot, look at this, there's that muscle, the butt muscle right there. I can't remember what it's called, but I left it off. So moving down onto the lower leg of the rabbit, if you pick through the fascia here, it's relatively thick, so you may need scissors. You'll find that nice gastrocnemius muscle right there. Okay. All right, so from the butt, from the spinotrapezius back, we have our lumbodorsal fascia that I've peeled across. Longissimus dorsi, multifidus, gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, fascia latae with the tensor fascia latae. Sorry, right in there. Move that over. Biceps femoris, semimembranosus, and adductor magnus, and gastrocnemius. Okay? You got to do some picking. So the hardest part, I think, is to find these 3 layers up here, the rhomboideus capitis, the splenius, and then your levator scapuloventralis. But they're there, I promise. Just kind of pick behind your parotid gland and anterior to your acromiotrapezius. There's a nice little hole.
And